Hello everyone. My name is Analben Manakiwala, and me and my team together created this beautiful website called PoemComber. So our journey started like this. Originally, we were thinking about making an app where people can log in and they can insert a piece of text, and it can get scanned through the whole text, and when you click submit, it gives the list of all the difficult words with its meaning. And the idea is people can go through the whole list of difficult words before they read the essay or the piece of text, and it will be easier for them to understand the text without going back and forth with a dictionary. But the issue was that issue with that is it was the good API for a dictionary API and word list was a little too cost prohibitive, and the cheaper version like low cost or free version of APIs didn't have enough data in it. So we came up with this new idea of PoemComber, where instructor can log in and uh, they can insert a poem as an assignment, and then student can log in and they have access to all the assignments which are poems, and they can select certain lines and they can write the comment about it, and everybody has access to the comments which they have posted, and that way they can understand what a little piece of that poem can have a different kind of interpretation, and it's easier for everybody to understand the poem. So now I'll hand it over to Zintis to for the layout, and he'll walk through the code for the layout and the demonstration of the website.
Good morning, everybody. So I was largely in charge of doing the layout, CSS, and HTML. And here we have the splash screen, which is what everyone's going to be welcomed with when they get in. We have a login button, so just give me one sec. So once you get past the splash screen, it's going to bring you to an overview of all the assignments that a student would have. We have two different kinds of accounts, one for the instructor and one for the student, each with their own access to different pages. The student account will bring you directly to assignments, where it'll bring you to an individual poem. On the left side, you can see that the poem is generated and also has comments associated with the different lines. So each line that is highlighted has comments that are stored in a database and are recalled when you click on it. Some of the lines have multiple comments, and such as this one tells you who did it and what the comment was about it. On the right is the assignment that the instructor has given you to do with this poem, and you can also leave a new comment. So for example, when you go to this modal, it's going to bring up the poem again, and from here what you're going to do is select a line that you want to talk about, and you're going to bring it down to another line. So in this excerpt, you're going to be commenting on these lines here, and you can write anything you want. So, all right. And from that point, you'll submit it, and it should bring it up. Zintis was here. All right, cool. No bugs. So yeah, that's the major use of this, is that it allows different groups of people to come together and have kind of a piecemeal conversation about the different lines of a poem, or any text for that matter, and in that way be able to learn from each other. From here you can go back to the overview, go to another poem, or log out, and then log back in as the instructor. I'm on register?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Submit? Did I do something wrong?
Let me see. Instructor is the, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said instruct. Okay.
Oh, password is instruct.
Oh. All right, cool. So this view is a little different. Here we have the assignments that you've created, and on the right it shows you all the students that are currently talking about the topics and what their comments are. You can also then submit a new text here, which gives you the fields to obviously do this, a submit button. And I guess if you want to...
Sure. So I have a few test poems up here that I uploaded to show how this system worked. Let's see. If you want to kind of just explain what I'm doing.
Sure. He's just taking one of his favorite poems and he's going to just stick it in the fields to make sure that all the functionality is there. So this will just take 1 second. So as far as the layout of the site, initially we were going to have something a little more busy with a lot of colors and maybe some images and so forth. But the more that we thought about it, we decided to bring it back to the minimalist, since the focus of the website is basically just to allow someone to learn from the text. So we're trying to avoid having anything that would draw the eye away. So all that there really is to look at is the poem, your assignments, and a small nav bar to allow you to navigate the site. So as you can see, he did input the poem, and this will bring up, this is a new selection, so from here you can add a comment, pick up a line, put in some more text, and so forth and so on. And that is the basic functionality of the website. In the future, I think that we were looking to add a little more to the instructor's capabilities and probably a little more to the students' capabilities, but I'll leave that to Steve and Andrew. Is there? All right, cool.
All right, I'm Andrew, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the data. And as I go over the models and I go over the different columns, I'll kind of explain what each one does and how it kind of relates to the site. So this is one of our tables. This is the user table. This is basically the user's information. It has an ID that's an integer, auto-incremented, and this allows us, this is basically how we classify the user throughout the site and in queries, so this is pretty important. The username is just the user's name. Password is a password for the user, which they use on login. Role is very important because, as Zintis said, the student and instructor have different levels of access, and what this is assigned as determines what access level they get. Instructor name is just the instructor name. That allows us to determine what students are in a particular class. The assignments table is where we store the assignment information. The ID is how we classify the assignment throughout the site. The assignment itself was actually stored in a file, and all we have in the database is the file's name, and that is here, text file route. Assignment title, author, summary, instructor who uploaded the assignment. And the comments table is all the individual comments. The ID is not particularly important for the comments. For an assignment is the assignment ID for any particular comment. Well, it's the assignment ID of the assignment the comment is for. And this is very important because we make a join at one point between the comments table and the assignment table, and this allows us to do that. Similar to the foreign assignment, foreign user is the user ID of the user who made the comment, and that's important because we make a join between the user table and the comment table. Comment is just the comment itself. Starting line and ending line is important because when we click on any given line of the poem, we take that line number and we search the comments table and find if that line is in range of any comments. And then we also match it up to whether the assignment IDs match up. We use Express for all the serving. MySQL is a database. SQLize we use as an ORM. Now I'm just going to show you some of the routes real quick. API routes is where a majority of the stuff goes on. Authentication routes is simply just authentication for logging in, and the tokens. HTML routes, instructor routes, and student routes is just routing to the different HTML pages.
All right, so I'm going to go over some of the new technologies we use that we might not have gone over in class. The first of which is authorization routes is use of JSON Web Tokens and cookies. We have used cookies before, but I've combined JSON Web Tokens with them. So this way, when a user logs in, we serve a token that has the user's information, and then we serve that as a cookie. So they get an encrypted version of their user information. And by doing so, we can retrieve that information and make sure that the right users are getting the access that they should have to particular sites. We don't want a student to go onto a page that only an instructor could see, for example. We use that to determine whether a user is logged in or not, and a user will be logged in whether they register, whether they log in, and we delete the cookie with this command in order to take them out of the system for the time being. We also used regular expressions on the poem submission, so this way we can take just regular text and display it in a way that lets us allow the user to peruse it. So we can assign the lines to the poem. We can assign the breaks. So if there's multiple line breaks, it will put a break tag for each one. And this way, if there's like 2 line breaks, you get 1 break tag, 3 line breaks, 2 break tags. Basically just a way to make sure that the poem is formatted correctly and to let the user and the client look at the thing correctly. Oh, and for our for the future, we'd like to add some new features as well. Maybe make a system for submitting assignments rather than just poetry. We include a prose system in there. Make it so that when you're highlighting text, it highlights every line that is appropriate to the comment rather than just the single line. A few features like that. I wanted to see, what was the other one I had included here? Oh yeah, leaving comments on comments as well. So in this manner, you'd be able to comment on a user's particular comment and make it an even more collaborative environment for literary analysis. And that's PoemComber.
Thanks so much.